Digital podcast, and I have a special guest today, so hopefully you'll tune in and stay to the very end. And if you do, we got some good things for you, some giveaways. So welcome to the show. This is Boris Krastev, and he is from RemoteMore.com. Thanks for joining me today, Boris. Thanks for bringing your expertise to us today. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good, and thanks for inviting me to the podcast, Mick.
Oh, you bet. Can you tell us a little bit about your background? I'd like to know a little about what is more about RemoteMore.com.
So, RemoteMore is a platform that connects over 25,000 remote developers across the world.
Wow.
To 1,600 companies now.
I see.
To work remotely, to connect to work remotely full time. I started the company in 2018, actually in Denmark, and so we've been on the market for 4 or 5 years now, and we've seen some quite strong growth in the past few years.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So this is now, it's been a while, it sounds like, and there are so many changes in the software field and what have you. So I'm wondering if you could tell the audience a little bit about what would you say are some of the biggest changes that you have seen within your field?
The world has become, and it's becoming more and more dynamic. So I would say there are two primary changes that are happening out there in terms of major characteristics, not actual changes. So I see these type of sudden events that happen from time to time that are very quick, and they change the whole game out of nowhere. And these changes that happen steadily over time that we know about, and we cannot do anything about them, but rather just ride the wave. So the first change, it's needless to say, is COVID that happened in 2020 that changed so many things for so many of us, and it was a completely black swan event that happened recently.
Wow.
And I would say more interesting for me are those trends and changes that we see on the market, which are steadily growing over time, and I've been observing for some time now. These are perhaps also very impactful. I would say that they are also related to people, and I would classify these changes as the demand for skills.
Yeah.
And when I say change for skills, is that I observe how much more demanding the skill set of a person is compared to what it was in, like, say, 10 years ago. Just as pure demand for what one person should be able to do in order to be competitive on the market, either as an entrepreneur or as a professional, has dramatically changed. And I believe this change will keep on going and going because the world is becoming more and more dynamic, and just the skill set is increasing. And related to that one is I see that the demand for people who are able to combine qualitative and quantitative data and be able to synthesize this information and act upon it is a change that I think will grow and grow. So maybe in the past it was more about, and maybe you can help me out here how you see it, but in the past it was less quantitative, more qualitative. Now it's becoming more and more quantitative than it is, or than it was qualitative in terms of making decisions. But going to the far end and being only quantitative is also not good, because you miss on so many things that are good, that are qualitative, and you need them in order to make good decisions.
Yeah, it's always a combination. Yeah.
Right, and I see this change that neither of the two ends is like good enough, but like the combination of both, and people who are able to capture on this one is they're gonna capture on this change that's going out there with the different tools for quantitative decision making. And perhaps coming out of COVID is I see on the labor market
Mm-hmm.
how important flexibility on the workplaces, and and I believe this was a huge change that happened out of COVID, but I think it will be continuous involvement over time. And I
I
believe
see.
either if we, people working fully remotely or people working in the office,
Mm-hmm.
which is not going to be what it was before, but in whatever form, the flexibility will be here and it will be growing over time. And I say change, not a trend, because this defines a lot of how we communicate, how we work, and so on. So I believe it's a major, long-lasting change that will happen if
Mm-hmm.
you go forward.
There's a lot of people are talking about. I'm curious what we would say about what are some hot growth areas. There are some buzz, let's say, for Chat GPT, and
Yeah.
there's artificial intelligence, machine learning. I mean, do you see some of those areas as hot growth areas or something else?
Oh, absolutely. So anything artificial intelligence, machine learning, anything data related, automation, I think these are hot areas right now.
Okay.
To be honest, because my background is that I studied quantitative uh, finance and finance world in 2000, when I was studying in 2016, and I developed some regression models that
Mm-hmm.
are essentially the core of what the AI is. And the finance world has been using these regression models for a very long time now in order to collect data and make decisions on the markets. I've been surprised that it took us so long to get user-friendly tools in order to use these models, because
Right.
I don't know what exactly is in underneath ChatGPT, but I would assume it's the core. These are regression models and statistical models that capture and analyze data. Again, I don't know exactly what's under the hood, but I can only assume this is what's going on. And um, and yeah, anything data and machine learning and AI, it's really hot out there, and there's really strong demand. And also, I think because when we talk about technologies, I feel like sometimes people don't talk about enough the skills of people, which is
Mm. Okay.
these tools are as good as we are able to use them, right?
Yeah.
And if you're a much more qualified person and have better skills, this tool will work much better for you. So I would say people skills is like really hot right now, and it's something people are not observing enough, and it's some kind of incongruity that we observe right now. So.
Do you mean what people generally say soft skills? So communication and being able to interact with having a conversation with people, right?
Not only, but also being able to apply the skills and just having better information,
Mm.
um, knowledge and information about what's going on, and being able to apply these tools. Because ChatGPT would work as good as the information you put in there, right? So if you put higher quality info and you make better requests, it will work much better for you. But then it becomes important that you are a more capable person.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, what kind of things you recommend business owners to think of, especially in regards to what you do in your company? So, what kinds of things, since we've talked about some of the changes, some of the hot growth areas, what did you say for your business people? What should they be thinking about at this time?
Right now, in my mind, everybody should be thinking about value for money. Um, uh, you, just because, especially in tech and what we're observing right now,
Okay.
there is slowdown. Undoubtedly, there is a slowdown, and businesses, we should all be thinking about how to get more for our money, and for the investments that we're doing in our businesses. So, decisions we make should combine not only speed but also long-term prospects. and basically what you get for your money. With that in mind, as I'm running a company that's fully remote, I think remote companies offer immense opportunities, and I think these companies are much more agile in terms you get much more value for your money, and you're able to capture on exactly the flexibility component that I've previously talked, which allows your workers and your partners to be much more productive because work can happen at any point in time, and leverage better talents regardless of geography, even though there are also great opportunity, like benefits of being present with a person, which, don't get me wrong, I really enjoy. But where work happens, it's in the value for money you get from working remotely. It's just it's not comparable. And if you're able to combine it with seeing people from time to time physically, then your company will be much more resilient compared to others who are not applying these methods of work.
So, like, what you're really supervising, maybe global or at least nationally, a workforce, and you're engaging people to work on behalf of business owners. Is that what we're saying?
Well, what do you mean by engaging?
Well, that you employ people remotely to work on behalf of clients, and you're organizing that since they're all remote, right? They're not commuting to where you are, a physical location.
Right. Yeah. I think that will make your company much more resilient, and you'll be being able to leverage on opportunities such as providing more flexibility and then having better value for your money.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of advantages because I work remotely, so I understand.
Right.
No commute, right? So I'm not stuck in traffic.
Commute as well. Yeah. You'd save about 30 days per year if you have to commute 3 hours a day, which is
and
a
then
lot.
that's if a client is working with you, then is this how it works? You're finding people to work for a particular client. Is that how it works?
Oh, to RemoteMore, the way it works is that these companies would connect with the people on the platform. So in a way, we'll market the platform.
I see.
So they can come and manage it, to connect with the people. The people we don't manage; they work directly with the client. We only help them to do payroll and other details around working remote. But otherwise, these people would work directly with the companies.
Okay.
So we don't manage the people, and they could as well hire the people without us being in the middle after they find that person on a marketplace. So more like a hiring tool in order to capture more people in your funnel, recruitment funnel, and just be able to talk to more people and do interviews with.
It's another advantage in a lot of ways because managing people then is a whole another area that
Right.
takes
Yeah.
a lot of time and effort, and it's people. So, and
right. Yeah.
and what kinds of areas then would you offer since it's remote? Like, what kinds of things and what sort of expertise would you offer if they're coming to you as a platform? What would you say as a business owner? Why would they come to you? Like, what services do you offer? What areas?
Right. So here on this topic, I would like to differentiate between two things.
Right.
So the first one is the actual features that our platform or service provides. But there's also the component of who I am as a person. And regardless that we operate in the software space, there's so much that can be done outside of software. So, so I'd like to focus first on the second point, because I believe this to be more valuable actually than the software component. Because as I mentioned, it's so demanding about being able to understand things that are not programmed. And this is exactly where I believe I could help people with their hiring. So there are actually quite a few areas I can help. So I have a ton of experience of working with over 25,000 users that I can help. And I'd be happy actually to do most of this for free, to help to companies and to other people and anybody else who wants to connect with me. I'll gladly jump on a call to share more, but providing insights about salaries across the world or in the US and outside the US, organizing recruitment process, meaning that I'm able to understand, because I've seen hundreds of companies and how they do recruitment. I'll gladly share some perspectives of how you're able to organize your recruitment process in remote scenarios so that you can capture more of your process. Understanding what makes a good candidate technically, and being able to screen that candidate. Anything compliance and payroll. Well, I'm not a lawyer. I have a lot of exposure, and we can connect with different specialists in the area. And one area that I'm also quite good is regarding building software and budget, because when I started, and we didn't touch upon this at the beginning, but I started on a very, very modest budget, working full time as an entrepreneur, and I had to make the best out of what I had. So I've learned through time how you could build amazing things without breaking the bank. And I'll be happy to share these to anybody and for free. And the other part is on the RemoteMore side, where what we do is basically, we provide again for free access to the platform, interviews for free, and we share the burden in terms of risk if you're able to hire someone. Payroll compliance, these are things that we're able to do. But most importantly, and regardless of features and software, is understanding problem and being flexible to fix that problem regardless of what you have as features. So let's put it this way. I'm a person who is problem solver, and there's always possibility to solve an issue when you have an open mind.
So it could be a number of areas. Would you get into things like, is it HR, onboarding process?
Right. Anything HR, recruitment, software building, compliance, and remote payroll. So.
Okay. But then you do also, because you said there's two parts, there is a software component as well too.
Right.
So you can, that's kind of like it's a full service, right? So I mean,
it is finding the people and then being capable, because we started before with the idea that our hypothesis was that it's hard to find the right person when you work remotely.
Yeah.
But then it turned out that you actually also need to support after they make the hire. So, yeah.
That's why I think that's pretty impressive, really, as I'm thinking of what are most businesses struggling with? Well, it's finding the right people and getting them on board. Yeah. And so if there is someone that could assist with that, that's really helpful. Yeah. And then, of course, the software and the remote, because, it's really easy to work remotely, especially with software.
Right. Yeah. That's right.
So if a person is now, because we've talked about a number of areas, both the changes that have taken place, the hot growth areas, the areas that you do, which is a full service agency in so many ways, what would you recommend? Do they go to the website? Do they contact you directly, call you? What would they do? How would they get a hold of you?
Email would be the best, and bk@remotemore.com. So that will be the best way to reach me. And of course, LinkedIn, but people can Google me and find me on LinkedIn, but I'm available on email.
Oh, all right. Awesome. That's good. It's great to know. So, Boris, thank you so much for stopping by today. You have a really good and full service agency. It sounds like you do a lot more, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who want to get a hold of you because they need this kind of service. So thanks for being my guest today.
Thank you, Mick. Yeah, pleasure to be here.
You bet. So if you listen to the entire broadcast, well, you ahead and get a hold of me. I'm also working with Amplified Labs, and they have an open door policy. So they work on a lot of custom software. And also, if you need anything related to the internet, stick with me as well, too, because like anything that has to do with the internet, I can do it and I can find somebody for it. So once again, thanks for tuning in to the Doctor of Digital podcast. And if you haven't picked up a copy of the novel as well, there, it's at the bottom of the screen. Until next time, take care, and we'll see you. Day is full.